Please join me in welcoming Ms. Skyra Blanchard to the podium.
Good afternoon, students, staff, and families. I want to thank all of the lovely seniors who nominated me to speak today. As I've told many of you, as you've come in and out of Portable 7 to congratulate me on this honor, I'm a teacher, not a speaker. So bear with me as I shed some light on how to play the game of life and win. But to do so, I have to start from the beginning. According to the Institute for Family Studies, single fathers are more likely to be white, older, better educated compared to single mothers. Single fathers are most likely cohabitating. And as you might be thinking, single fathers are more likely to be in a more financially stable situation than single mothers. While data about single fathers is limited, I'd like to think I know a thing or two about single fathers. I am the proud product of a single father. A father who, as you might suspect, played no games, yet he was masterful at teaching his 5 children, 3 of whom are fraternal triplets, the art of playing the game of life. Yes, if you're wondering, I'm a triplet. No, we're not identical. Could you even imagine 2 more of me? That would be, as many of you say, doing too much. While the game of life is hard, it's equally rewarding. It's your job to play the game with the cards you were dealt. While some hands seem better than others, we all know timing, reflection, and courage can make one's hand a winner or a loser. The outcome is mostly in your hands. Growing up, my dad chose to raise his children in a small white town called Lewisburg in central Pennsylvania, the hometown of Bucknell University. When I arrived there in 2nd grade, it was a struggle. Everyone was white, and I wasn't used to living with my dad. My dad, for all intents and purposes, was a bachelor. You know the type, 6'3", athletic build, dark skin. You could say women liked him, until he became responsible for raising 5 children on his own. Unlike the typical narrative, my mom left. I remember this time in my life very vividly, as moving in with him is closely tied to my memories of the blizzard of '93. During that time, we got so much snow that we actually couldn't go to school. We were actually snowed in. Literally, the door to the outside couldn't open under the weight of around 2 feet of snow. It's not like now when we call snow days when we sense the weather might turn from rainy to flurries. I mean feet of snow enshrining everything. But moving in with my dad was cool. He had an unforgettable belly laugh, and his hugs were all-encompassing. If you've ever received a hug from me, you know what I mean. I was trained by one of the best. But like many of the parents out there, he had no manual for raising 5 children. So not unlike the expected narrative, we struggled. To make ends meet, my dad worked overtime. He worked so much overtime, his overtime became his regular shift. This meant his 5 kids had to raise each other. In my family, this meant the oldest, Aisha, got to be the boss, and the rest of us fell in line. Additionally, living in a small town with a single father in the 90s meant that the village also stepped in. While my dad was at work, we would ride around town on our huffy bikes until he gifted us an old Subaru, jumping from houses of our peers and neighbors who always kept a close eye on us. Thus, in the game of life, you would be remiss not to find and/or accept the support and guidance of others. Not like copying and pasting a prompt into ChatGPT and letting it write your essay for you. No, not like that. I mean actual help. Help means that you're actually still doing your own work. You're simply accepting the advice, collaboration, or aid of others who might know more than you, or who are willing to experience a part of life by your side. To do hard things, you can't expect to succeed without others. But here's the thing, you can't just choose any group for this life project. You have to be strategic. You have to vet these people. I hate to break it to you, but most of the people you know now, you won't know in just a few short years. For some, you'll even forget their last names and have to look at old yearbooks or posts to recall their last names, or perhaps conjure a few memories about them. For me, my support network is still heavily rooted in the village that helped raise me in my youth. In fact, one of my teachers from elementary school, Mrs. Lawrence, is the woman I call Mom. Her support of me since I moved to Lewisburg has been steadfast. Accepting her support allowed me to foster a relationship that means the world to me. The game of life is better played in a supportive environment. You have to pick and choose wisely. If you do, you'll likely develop relationships that will stand the test of time. Next, you have to learn when it's time to let things go in order to progress, change, and grow. As a kid, every summer, my dad tasked his children to clean out the garage. This always seemed like more of a punishment than spring cleaning. Over the years, you take the items out of the house that you'll think you'll use again or need again, but never do, and place them in the garage out of sight. You see, the task of cleaning out the garage was more of a, let's take everything out, air it out, and put it right back where it was. One year, I remember hesitantly asking my father if we could discard of his old Army equipment. He had sacks of various survival gear shoved in the back rafters of our garage. He always said no in that stern, let's not talk about it again, dad voice. But it had been decades since he'd been in any real military scenario that would require such items. They were just heavy remnants of the past, weighing down the old beams in the garage. The annual airing out of the garage never changed anything. We never had more space, and it was no cleaner. While some of you might be thinking that my dad was holding on to memories of his time in the service, I counter your thoughts with, could he do the same thing with a call to a buddy, or just not have heavy equipment rotting in the garage? In the game of life, you have to learn to let stuff go. Some things served you at one time, but perhaps no longer. I'm not asking you to forget them, but you will most likely find that letting them go allows for actual improvement. For example, when your English teacher asks you to rewrite, you don't go and thesaurus a few words and then tell her that you worked really hard on your revision. I know this shocks you, but I can see your version history. I can even play a video of your writing process like a reel and see where you made edits. Those few words weren't what was making your essay unsuccessful. Rewrite, start over, give yourself some time to think about a new angle. Sometimes we think our effort is analogous to success, and that's simply not true. Have you ever seen effort on a rubric? There's a reason for that. Change can be most valuable when you throw away the old canvas and start anew. But like many of you know, life is not easy, and you shouldn't expect it to be. You have to accept that there will be bumps in the road. There will be the natural bumps that you expect, and there will also be the ones that you can't possibly predict. In elementary school, my dad, when overwhelmed with the burdens of raising kids, would sometimes drop off his kids at school and could be found sitting in the main office unloading on the secretary, Mrs. Burdick, a kind listener. It was this time in fellowship that allowed him to take a breath, hear from a kind soul that he was doing a good job, and continue moving forward. Many of you have shared with me the hardships you've faced, from losing loved ones to bullying and other social trauma that continues to impact you today. Yet, like my dad, doing hard things is possible, even under less than favorable circumstances. You're here, aren't you? You made it this far. A Black man in the 90s raising 5 kids on his own seems like an insurmountable task. Most people wouldn't have judged him for dropping us off at a relative's and never looking back. But courageously, he stayed. This was not without expected hardship. The cards he was dealt on the surface could have been viewed as a losing hand, but with the support of his community, letting go of his bachelorhood, and sacrificing for his children in so many ways before his untimely death when I was 16, has led me here, a 40-something teacher with almost 20 years in the game as a high school English teacher, raising my own son, a toddler, without a manual. In the game of life, you win by continually moving forward, no matter the pace. As you journey into the next leg of your life, keep moving forward. Take risks. Risks only look risky because the majority of people would deem the likelihood of your success to be low. Yet, according to Ellen Langer, a tenured psychologist at Harvard, a failure is simply an unfinished success. Take risks anyways, but do so within reason. Don't go out there trying to disobey the laws of physics. That's dumb. TikTok challenges fit nicely into this category too. Just no. And just in case the analogy was unclear, I am not suggesting anyone go out there and try to be a single parent. 10 out of 10, do not recommend. Okay? As the daughter of a successful single father, a single mother myself, and a veteran teacher, I leave you with this. In the game of life, be like the Blizzard of '93. Go big or go home. Thank you.